All right, what's going on, guys? Josh here again. I love you as usual. But what I wanted to talk about in this video was the difference between e-commerce and I guess real estate or flipping and wholesaling, and what's going to be, I guess, best for people, and why I think that needs to be addressed. Because I think a lot of people think they can't get into real estate, and what kind of inspired me to make this video was that after I was looking at this one e-commerce video, and someone said, hey, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna put like $3,000 into ads. And at that point I was like, whoa, $3,000 into ads. You know, I've gotten a house with a $5,000 down payment. So that was the craziest part, because I was like, man, you know, I don't think people really realize what they could do. And that's the thing with real estate and wholesaling. You don't necessarily need money to start as far as wholesaling goes. You know, the best part is, if you guys saw my other video I made on this topic with just e-commerce, it's the same thing. I basically do e-commerce for real estate. I'm not, like I said, I'm not selling products, like little products online. I'm marketing to find properties and sell them. And yeah, now I guess obviously the number one question you could be asking from that is, well, I don't have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to flip a house. You don't need that. One, there's leverage in loans if you wanted to do the flip, but I don't actually buy. I'd say I buy maybe 30% of the homes that I come across that I find. The rest, I just wholesale them. I sell the lead to somebody else who would want to take that risk and could do it. So, you know, like this is a bigger example, like a house like this. You know, this is like $2.5 million. But let's say you find a house worth $300,000, and you have a guy who's willing to sell it to you for 200 grand. And believe it or not, that happens. I'll even attach a message I got. You know, the other day I found someone who's willing to just give me his house if I paid off the mortgage. And you know, you'd be surprised. Think about how many homes exist. A lot of people are into this, or a lot of people are trying to sell their homes, and there's many unique situations. But if that house was $300,000, you get him to agree to sell it to $200,000. It may need like $50,000 of work. If that's like too much risk for you, you don't see it as possible, taxes, whatever it may be, there usually is an investor who will want that. They'll either want it as a rental property, as a value add some, you know, add work to it, make it up to par, and just rent it out. You could go to that investor, say, hey, I could get you this house, it's $200,000, I could give it to you for $210,000. You already have the contract secured at that price, and guess what? You just made $10,000 just by selling and giving him that contract. It's just like options. Why do you think I'm into it, and why do you think I do it? But now you guys are saying, well, how do I find, and this is what brings me up to e-commerce, and not, because you can go and spend that same marketing that you're spending for products and just go find house sellers and find people in real estate. Now, then you could also become an agent and stuff like that, which again still provides those opportunities. But the real big difference is going to be in terms of what's your, I guess, the path you want to take. But now, I'm not going to just knock e-commerce, because again, I like it. I guess the pros and cons is that I think real estate's harder and wholesaling takes a lot more time. But on the other end, it is easier to get into e-commerce, other little products, stuff like that, but there's a lot of competition. So, but what I do like about e-commerce, you don't have to, you can do a lot of the real estate wholesaling stuff from home. You don't need to go outside and do that. It increases your odds, but I would say e-commerce has the advantage of, yeah, you could really just be at home, and then once you find your niche, once you get a product, once you figure out your marketing, the money's rolling, and it's just all very, very simple. Everything's literally online, depending on if you're drop shipping or if you're actually just selling the product. You might have to deal with shipping and stuff like that. But again, what I don't like is the margins are usually small. You know, for me, if I'm going to spend, like again, when I heard someone say they spend $2,000 on marketing, $3,000 to get into e-commerce, I would rather spend that on ads for real estate, which are more expensive. It is going to be harder, but the end result is going to be, I'm sorry, I'm trying to focus the camera, but the end result is going to be making more money. I'd rather make 5, 10, 15, 20,000 or more on a transaction than a couple thousand. I guess that's where I like real estate and flipping and wholesaling above that, because even if I want a house to wholesale, if I'm finding that lead, if it ends up being a good house that I could flip and it has like $100 grand margin, it's giving you that upside potential. You know, you could go take that to the moon, really. With you know, it could be fine. You know, you spend $100, $20 on a lead, get a real estate lead. You thought you're only going to make a couple $1,000s. You could now end up flipping that and make a 6-figure check off of that. That's not going to be really the same with e-commerce unless you hit like a viral marketing and get it out there. So I guess the difference is really, what I am trying to say is that you don't need, you know, the same amount of money you need to start e-commerce you do need with real estate. It's just different things you're going to be learning. It's either learning how to do Shopify, learning how to do, you know, the one thing in common, Facebook ads. If you know how to do Facebook ads, you could start getting in real estate and actually have a head up on a lot of people. But then it's also just knowing the process. One is obviously more of a real business transaction, or a deeper business transaction. Let me say that, you know, you got to get someone to want to find the property. You got to work with investors, contracts, stuff like that. It's not just boom, find the client, do this. So in that sense, e-commerce by far is easier. It is easier, and you know, but I think that gets reflected in how much more you can make off of it. And I guess the time it would take to make off it. That's the thing. You know, a lot of people say, yeah, you can make X amount with e-commerce, you know, make $100,000 a month, $50,000 a month. That is going to take a lot of sales, a lot of work, and a lot of marketing, whereas you could fuck around and make $20,000, $50,000 on your first deal with real estate, and that's not uncommon. You know, I've even on becoming an agent, most our average agent's first commission check is like $10,000, and that's in one. You know, I've had kids, you've seen them even on this YouTube channel, they got into real estate, and within, I think, about 60 days, they closed their first deal, made $10,000. So, you're gonna put in work, but that's the thing. I guess, you know, I'd rather be upfront about it than saying, yeah, you know, you're gonna sit at home and it's gonna come to you like e-commerce, and that's what people think with e-commerce. But like I said in my other video, you need to put in the work. You just don't fool yourself on that. So, I guess when it comes down to it, what I would pick and how I'd help you guys decide what level of time commitment could you put in. How much money are you trying to make? I think that would let you know, and I think we'll start there and really decide, because if you're trying to make those 6-figure, $1 million marks, again, I think you should probably look towards one of the biggest industries in the world, real estate. You know, this neighborhood alone is $4.5 million median price. That means average, that's what you're getting, versus, you know, what is the median price for a transaction on Shopify? It's probably like, I think, $39 or something like that. So for you to make, what, $3,000, you're gonna have to sell 100 products or something like that. If you want to make $39,000, you're gonna have to sell 1,000 products, so you're gonna have to pay for ads to make sure, you know, do the math. And I guess this is some of the marketing stuff. But here's the thing, I'm not gonna say that's the same thing in real estate, where you have to contact a lot of people. We put out ads for real estate. They're more expensive to run, but it's also for that reason. And that's something, if you guys are familiar with advertisements, Facebook ads, competition, all that, if it's a cheaper demographic and, you know, you're gonna have less competition. Essentially, why aren't people bidding on an interest? Why aren't they bidding on a product? Because, well, it's gonna come down to their margin. You know, you'll pay $20 to $50 to $100 for a real estate lead, because if it converts, you're making $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Whereas, you know, if you're bidding on selling, you know, dog products, you might spend $2, $3 per lead, maybe less, but you're only gonna make $15 at the end of the day off of the purchase. So, like I said, know what time commitment you could put in, and also know, you know, what you want to get out of it. That's definitely where I would start with determining which was which. But I guess I do want to debunk the fact that it's not as if you need to be a millionaire to get into real estate. You don't need to be, you know, you don't need to have experience. You don't have to even be a real estate agent. You don't need any licensing to get inside of the investment part. I recommend you do get it, because then as you'll start to get more experience, you'll see how you could double end deals and how it could end up benefiting you in an amazing way. So definitely think about that if you guys have ever considered it. But at the same time, I think e-commerce has a way lower barrier to entry, but I think that's just because you could get in at cheaper advertisements, but it's still harder. There's a lot of competition at those low prices. But at the end of the day, I think if a lot of people, you know, see how many people are trying to get into e-commerce, drop shipping, all that, think about how many people have this thought in their head they can't do real estate. If you guys could get past that mental barrier, you know, I have a lot of free information on my channel. You guys could always reach out to me. I want to build my team out. I have a benefit of that if I get you guys on board, because if you guys send me deals, I could send you deals. I want people nationwide. There's a benefit for me in that. You know, I'll gladly help you out getting started with it. So, but just if you could get past that barrier thinking that you need this or you need that, you know, I think you would be able to see what actually it holds for you. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully this helped you guys, and maybe I want to make a part 2. So this being said, I need people who are interested in e-commerce, drop shipping, all that, and people in real estate. Let me know your questions that you have from this, and give me a point of discussion, a focal point that we could go and address, and even, you know, explore more in depth and figure out the answer to. So I love y'all. Stay in school, like, subscribe, and definitely please drop those questions for me.